So, with one team having arguably the MVP of the league leading them, and the other team finally wanting to prove themselves in the playoffs, the Los Angeles Clippers and Denver Nuggets are set to have a high-stakes matchup that will most certainly be a chess match. With the Clippers finally gelling and putting together a solid win streak at the end of the season, James Harden and Kawhi Leonard look to lead this team on a deep playoff run, as for years, Harden has been looked at as someone who disappears during the playoffs, and for Kawhi, well, he's someone who we've seen be dominant in the playoffs. It's simply all about if he can stay healthy or not. When switching over to Denver, well, they recently just fired their general manager and head coach with only 3 games left in the season. So obviously, this is going to shake things up, and with them being a team who just won a championship 2 seasons ago, they've had times where they look like they won't be able to reach that point again, so they're focused on proving everyone wrong. And although LA didn't have Kawhi for any of these games, and both teams played during the first half of the season and not the back half, so we couldn't really see them at full form, I believe we can still see some ways that the Stars can shift the series in their favor. Now yes, the role players for both squads will play a huge role for the respective team, so we will touch on them throughout this video, but the main focus is on the chess match that will be showcased between Harden and Jokic. On one end, you have Harden, who slows down the game to his liking, just orchestrating the offense every time down the floor, whether it's his creative scoring or his slick passing. And on the other end, you have Nikola Jokic, who will 100% of the time make you pay, and it's not with speed or power. It's simply put as destruction with IQ. With the Clippers' game plan being to use Jokic in the pick and roll as many times as possible, if Jokic decides to sit back, Harden can now keep Gordon on his side to then get into the step back jumper, and if Harden's to use the pick and roll and his defender doesn't recover fast enough and is trailing the play, he'll be able to get into that go-to floater as Jokic continues to drop back into the paint. Now, to take away Harden's ability to penetrate the paint so easily, the Nuggets will make Jokic hedge hard to force the ball out of Harden's hands, but this here is when his facilitating can be fully activated. As here, he can either get it to Powell, who's moving out to the corner, or he can get it to his big man Zoo. So as the play continues, you're going to see Brown jump out to Powell due to his 3-point shooting threat, so this leaves Zoo wide open over the top to hit, and let's be honest, MPJ's not stopping this. Bringing Jokic up to the level of the screen would be way more effective if this defender who's sitting back dropped back even more, as it would give resistance to Zoo rolling to the paint, but what makes this hard to guard is that if he does drop back, then Harden could send it right back to the screener, who would now be open. So with Zoo able to roll perfectly and Jokic being too slow to get to the outside of Harden to cut him off, here's where James can wrap it around his body to set up the big man for the slam. This pick and roll scheme with Jokic in it opens up so many opportunities for the Clippers offense, as every time the action is initiated, it's gonna force a double on Harden. So although he could still make this pocket pass to Zoo in the middle, the safer find is back to Derrick Jones Jr. at the top of the key, and I want you all to look at the next options that are available. With MPJ closing out, Jones could pursue the rim as he has the downhill momentum, or he could swing it one more time to man in the corner. This here is exactly what I mean by many options are now presented, and this time with MPJ showing no defensive effort, Jones can attack the rack to go score the ball. Now something the Nuggets can do is put someone like Peyton Watson on Harden to show him more length when he's navigating the pick and roll action. They can pretty much play patty cake when the pass is forced through the middle, and this one here results in a steal that leads to a run out dunk. When you're matched up to guard Harden, you can't let him play to the beat of his own drum, as the best way to get him out of his game is to play aggressive and speed him up. So when you throw someone like Russell Westbrook on him who will hound him around these screens, it'll make it that much harder for him to be effective. Now slowing down Harden will only be effective if you throw those key things at him, because if you allow him to just come off the screen with not a lot of pressure from either the help or his recovering man, this lets him scan the whole entire floor to see that Gordon is shifted over deep into the paint to help on the roll from Zoo. So this pass all the way across the court is now open, which allows Powell to attack the closeout of Murray, and here comes an easy floater for 2 more points. This great ability to read the floor is what makes Harden such a valuable piece to this Clippers team. And while he's the one who will use the pick and roll to manipulate the defense, Jokic will use the movement of his team in his favor to connect on open looks. Take this play for an example. When Peyton comes off the screen, it opens up Brown for a cut to the basket, but hold on one second. Let's rewind it back so I can show you why this cut was so wide open. As you can see here, James Harden is guarding Brown and Derrick Jones Jr. is guarding MPJ. So when Peyton curls around the screen with Powell trailing the play, the defense doesn't want to allow this cut to be uncovered. So Jones has no choice but to tag up on Brown. Now the key thing that unlocks this whole play is this screen from MPJ on the wing. With James getting caught up on Porter trying to fight around, this allows Brown to slice into the lane while his man is swooped away, and with Powell lost on who he needs to pick up on, this leaves Dunn the responsibility of either covering Murray in the corner who has his hands on his knees not even worried, or Brown on the cut. Jokic then sees that Dunn is committed to Brown, so he gives a look to Murray to make Dunn lunge back out, and now Brown has an easy layup. I know, plays like that look so simple in real time that it's not until you go back to realize what actually happened, and this is something we see from Jokic time and time again. With Nikola having an IQ that's far beyond most NBA players, he's quick to notice lapses in the defense where he can get it to his guys before the defense even realizes what's going on, and if they don't communicate effectively and end up being late on the switch, he'll make sure to make them pay every single time. On this action here, it's not that the defense is late on the switch, it's all about Harden's positioning on the play. With James wanting to be on top of this handoff so it can't happen so easily, it now presents the perfect angle for Brown to face cut him to the basket, and with trust that his big man will get it to him, Brown bursts to the paint to receive the pass, and this here is practically a warm-up layup. Jokic's passing is something that breaks the defense night in and night out, as they have to be on their P's and Q's 24/7, even if they're 90 feet away from the basket. The facilitating will be on the defense's mind so much that they'll forget that he can even shoot the ball, so that's when they'll get burned from deep range. And trust me, in those moments where Zoo isn't on the court, Jokic is going to be a major problem to deal with. Now I could say the same for the Clippers, as Zoo has had an amazing season, so if you don't have someone his size in the game ready to put up a fight, he's going to show you why he was talked about as one of the most improved players. Now outside of the top star players, you have other key guys and stars on this team who will be fundamental in the team's success. For the Nuggets, you have Jamal Murray, MPJ, Christian Brown, and Aaron Gordon. All of these guys provide a different punch to this offense that will certainly be needed to get W's over the Clippers. Murray is someone who can create a shot out of thin air and does so while knocking down tough ones over defenders. MPJ is another guy who can put the ball in the basket in bunches, but opposed to Murray, he more so works well off the catch and shoot, and maybe off one or two dribbles off the catch when in motion. For Christian Brown and Aaron Gordon, they provide that downhill and inside pressure, which can be tough for some Clippers defenders to guard at times, especially guys like James Harden, but this is where Kawhi Leonard and Chris Dunn will come into play. With Kawhi being such an unknown factor in this series, as he didn't play a single outing when these teams matched up, he'll be able to guard multiple guys on this Nuggets team, just making it a nightmare every night to score on them. And Chris Dunn, well, he's just a pesky defender who will be in your pockets all night long. Outside of those two, you have your own form of an inside pressure guy who can cut to the basket in Derrick Jones Jr., and an electrifying scorer in Norman Powell who knows how to put the ball in the deck to go get a bucket. This core of the Clippers and the Nuggets will have to show up to give their team an edge over the other in a series where it certainly won't be easy, and it'll all be about whose role players can provide the most help for their leading stars. Now in the comments below, I want to talk about what players you think will provide a sneaky impact that can help the team win, and that can either be players I talked about or some that I didn't even mention. Now before some of you say, you didn't bring up this person or that person or this or that, hold on, I did that on purpose so we can all talk about them in the comments and discuss on what we think. Also, make sure to predict your outcome of this series as Game 1 is underway tomorrow. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you're first to know when I upload. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.